What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving in, doing a review of this RUNCL Heroism bait casting reel. RUNCL reached out to me. They wanted me to do a review of this reel, and to be honest with you, I've never fished with a reel like this that you can typically find on Amazon. Usually I go after Abu Garcia or Lou's reels. That's typically all I fish with. So this is going to be an honest opinion. Even though it is sponsored, this is going to be my honest opinion about it. So it's going to be cut and dry, and I'm not going to sugarcoat any of this. It's going to be an honest review. Guys, I'll also put a discount code in the description box. That way, if you want to save some money on this reel, if you order from their website, you can do that as well. All right, guys, let's go on down to the water. We're going to break down what the specs are of this reel and show you what you get for your money. And for around 55 bucks, I think it's actually pretty good. My first impressions of this reel, it looks pretty nice. It's very similar, and guys, we're gonna dive into this pretty in depth, but it's very similar to that of this Abu Garcia Roxani. As far as the shape goes, the EVA foam knobs, all the different features, besides the centrifugal braking system, all of it is pretty similar to that reel. All right, guys, first off, this thing does come in a pretty nice box. It's well packaged. I'll show you what you get in the box. So one cool thing is you get a RUNCL sticker. That's pretty cool. You also get kind of a thank you card. You know, thanks for purchasing this product. And you get a schematics breakdown and some other things that talk about the instructions of how to use it and some of the warranty information that goes along with it. But it was packaged pretty nicely. And, you know, my first impressions pulling it out of the box is, you know, I was kind of amazed, and I didn't have that great of expectations, especially for like an Amazon reel like this, but it surprised me. Without further ado, we're going to dive into this. We're going to go on down the water. We will be doing some practice casts and maybe catch a fish on this. It's pretty cold right now, and the fish aren't where I typically fish right now. So they've moved into deeper water, but maybe we can get on something. We're going to be fishing a shaky head with a crawl on it. But let's dive into this review. All right, guys, we are back. We're back down here at the river, and I'm going to go over the specs first up and show you what you get pretty much with this. So they did send me the left-hand version. They do make a right-hand retrieve. I just like the left-hand retrieve. I think it's a lot easier for me to use. And once again, this is the Heroism. So if you want to be a hero, this is what you want, guys. And like I said, the price comes in about 55 bucks, give or take. You know, they can range depending on what time you're actually purchasing this. The gear ratio is a 7:3 to 1. So pretty good all around gear ratio. You can use it just for about anything, guys. And if you need to slow it down, you just slow down your hand a little bit on the retrieve and you're good to go. This does have 8 bearings. So pretty good there. I mean, it is a pretty high bearing count, and this thing is relatively smooth, guys. That's one of the biggest things. I was very blown away on how smooth this reel operates. And I do have 12-pound monofilament on this. So once we get to the actual practice cast, you can kind of see how smooth this actually does operate. And I'll show you kind of how the reel operates with the smoothness as well. This does have 3 carbon fiber discs on the drag with a max of 17.6 pounds of drag. So that's pretty good right there. And kind of goes along with the drag system. The biggest selling point, I think, for this reel, it has a bite indicator on it. And you might ask yourself, what is a bite indicator? Right there, you can hear it. It's kind of like a spinning reel where you can hear the fish when it takes the bait. It starts clicking and dragging the bait like zzz. Well, this has it, guys. Not many bait casting reels have that feature, and that is pretty cool. So we'll see if we can either get this bait snagged on something where you can actually hear it a little bit better, or maybe a big fish will take this. But guys, this reel is going to be perfect for somebody that wants to get out and do some bass fishing. That's kind of the target audience for this. Smallmouth, largemouth bass fishing, maybe striper bass. That'll be kind of the target audience for this. This does have 29 inches of retrieve per turn of the handle. That's pretty standard for a reel like this. If you're going to be putting 10-pound monofilament or fluorocarbon on this, it'll take 210 yards. If you're going to be putting 15 pound, it's going to be 160, give or take. And if you throw braid on it, you know, it's going to be probably closer to what the 10 pound test capacity is going to be. This thing does come in at 7.3 ounces, so it's pretty light. And I do like the material. It kind of reminds me of my Lose MB Speed Spool Tournament Edition. It just kind of looks like it. And, you know, I think the real material is very similar to that. Okay, the handle length here. This has a very long handle on it, 4.3 inches. And that's going to give you enough leverage to pretty much pull anything that this reel is going to pull in. It's going to make it a lot easier to do. All right, it does have 10 magnetic brakes, and you can adjust them individually. So I'll pull the side cover off here in a second, but this outer ring right here adjusts a set of magnetic brakes, and also the inner one does. And you have a little button down here. You depress that, and you can pull the side plate off. Make sure I don't drop this in the sand. You can see that 10 magnetic brakes. That's pretty cool, and each side can be controlled individually, which is something you can't do on a lot of reels. And you can get a good shot of the spool right there. It does have a lot of lightning cuts in it, but overall it's a pretty standard aluminum spool. Okay, another selling point here, this thing has a ceramic line guide. That right there is going to probably eliminate a lot of backlashes. It's going to help the line go through that guide a lot easier, and it's not going to create as much drag. So that is a nice feature as well. And like I said, we're going to test out this bite alarm. I think that is going to be a huge selling point for this reel, and I just really like it. It reminds me of my spinning reels. If you know anything about the channel, we do a lot of smallmouth fishing, and a lot of spinning rods are used on that. Let's start talking about the aesthetics here. Let's look at the handle. One thing I didn't like about the reel, I think it kind of makes it look a little cheap, are the accents here on the end of the knobs. I think they are maybe really thin metal, but they just look really cheap. But the EVA foam knobs are actually really nice, and they're literally the same design, and they feel the same as the knobs on that Roxani that I just showed you in the beginning. So pretty cool feature there, and overall the handle material and everything is really nice. Have no complaints there. So one cool thing about this reel that you get that, or a lot of expensive reels have, that not a lot of budget ones like this have, is the audible clicks. Excuse the background noise. Are these audible clicks on the star drag, and also the spool tensioner. So that right there is an awesome feature that you get for 55 bucks. I cannot complain about that, guys. Very, very smooth as far as all the clicks. That's a really nice feature, and they're all aluminum. So usually at a cheaper price point like this, you get like a different plasticky material star drag, and it's just not that high quality feeling. But this has aluminum, and it feels really quality, so I can't complain on that either. And overall, this thing just looks nice. Let's look at the spool tensioner here. Once again, that thing looks pretty cool. It's got some knurling on it. Has a nice little logo right there, the RUNCL logo. So that looks pretty cool. Literally the only thing that struck me as looking a little cheap are the little covers right here on the ends. So I know Lose, they put the milled out aluminum ends on it. It just looks a lot nicer and high quality. This just looks like cheap pop metal kind of in a way. But it does have bearings on the knob, so that's cool. That adds to that bearing count of 8 of a total. So that's pretty cool. The worm gear, I don't know if you can see it too good. But the worm gear in there is greased up really nice from the factory. So that's one cool thing. I didn't take this reel completely apart, but I did look into some of the specs. It does have a solid brass main gear, which is really nice as well. That's going to add to the strength and durability and longevity of this reel. But yeah, I didn't really tear it apart to see if it was well greased or anything. But just looking at the worm gear, I'm assuming that it's well greased throughout. Looking at the size here, it does fit in my palm very well. So it's a very small reel, literally just like that Roxani from Abu Garcia. And nice crank position, and you can really cast this thing pretty nicely. And the reason I didn't do out of the box is because I've been testing this reel, and you know, I'm going to give you my honest impressions of this. So that's why I didn't do an unboxing of it. I wanted to, do a little bit of testing first. But we're gonna do some practice casts with this and show you what you actually get and see if it's gonna be a good option for you to click and make that purchase. All right, guys, if you've never used a bait caster before, there's one thing you really wanna pay attention to before you make your first cast, and that is where these magnetic brakes are set and also your spool tensioner. You really wanna dial in your reel to make sure you're not gonna backlash, because if you've ever backlashed, you know it's not fun. You're gonna have to pick all the line out, and it's not really fun. So let's get that dialed in. What you wanna do is make sure that your bait can fall relatively smooth or not move at all. And if it's your first time casting one, I would suggest tightening all this down to where it's not gonna move at all. That can really ensure you're not gonna get a backlash. And then once you get the hang of casting it, then you can start dialing it in a little bit more to get a little bit longer distance of a cast. So with the brakes, I'm just gonna set one of them to max, and I'm gonna do the outer ring. I don't think it really matters. We're gonna set that to maximum, and what that does, it's gonna slow down the bait in the air so your spool isn't going too fast for the line to actually go off. The thumb bar engages very nicely, and that's not something I can say about a lot of budget reels. This one does click in very positive. So let's make our first cast here. All right, you can tell I had the spool tensioner really tight on that, but we did not backlash. We're gonna back off the spool tensioner a little bit. Still gonna leave the brakes set to where they're at. All right, let's make another cast here. All right, gaining a little bit more distance. We can still fine tune a little bit more if we need to. And I'm probably gonna back off that spool tensioner just a little bit. You can tell how smooth the operation is on this. I really like those audible clicks on this drag tensioner, the spool tensioner. Getting a little bit more distance. Those brakes work very well, guys, and I'm only using one set of them right now. Now, if you were gonna use a heavier bait where you could really get a lot of kinetic energy going out and that spool might start speeding up a little bit, you can really slow it down if you have the other set of brakes engaged too. All right, so you saw some practice casts there. Actually, let's cast a little bit up this way. You can see it a little bit better. All right, so another little practice cast. Let's listen to the operation of this. It's very smooth. And this is 12-pound mono. All right, look at that. Haven't even backlashed it once. All right, we're gonna make one more practice cast, and I'm gonna show you the operation of the reel. Really launches it out there. So that 7:3 to 1 gear ratio, it retrieves the bait very quickly. I'm kind of surprised, but it does a really good job of it. All right, guys, let's check out this bite indicator to see what that sounds like. What you're gonna wanna do is, this star drag is actually backwards. Right out of the box, I thought I was going crazy here. Normally, you tighten up the star drag to where it's closest to the reel, and that means that it's the tightest. Well, on this reel, it's actually the opposite. That means you're pretty much free spooling. And opposite of that, if you want to tighten down the drag, you're going to crank it to where the drag is actually closest to the handle. So it is backwards, but that's to compensate for that bite alarm. All right, let's see if we can loosen this up so you can hear it. All right, we're gonna hung around a tree here. You can hear it. It's not too loud. It kind of sounds like a spinning reel in a way. You can hear it right there. So when you're fighting a fish, it kind of gives you the feedback that you would expect from a spinning reel, but you got it with your bait caster. That's one of the downsides that I find. fishing with a bait caster is I don't get to hear that clicking sound, man. When I hook into a big smallmouth or a big largemouth, I like to hear that click. I don't know, it's just something cool about fishing that I enjoy. So having this Heroism reel, it's really going to add to it, guys. I think it is a cool feature that more reels need to incorporate. I think it's really awesome. All right, guys, so my overall impression fishing with this for probably about 2 weeks is that it's a really solid reel for the money. 55 bucks, you know, that's going to be like a low-end Abu Garcia reel. It's not very expensive, guys, and it packs a lot of features that high-price Abu Garcia reels have. Just like that Roxani, besides the centrifugal braking system, it has a nice metal star drag. It has the long extended handle. It has the nice EVA foam knobs, and it even has that bite alarm. I don't think you can go wrong, guys. And it has a nice milled spool on it. The thumb bar engages very, very positively. You get the positive audible clicks on your star drag and the spool tensioner. It just works. And I haven't had any issues so far. It has those 10 magnetic brakes, which is pretty uncommon to find on a budget reel like this. So you can't go wrong, guys, I think, with buying this reel. Find that discount code in the description box below. Go over to RUNCL's website and purchase one of these. I don't think you're gonna go wrong, guys. And you can kind of hone in on finding your inner hero when you buy this Heroism Baitcast reel. All right, guys, hopefully you like this video, and maybe you can go pick you one of these up and you can like it just as much as I do. As I'll catch you in those next videos. Keep it blue collar.